One day coming home and I'm like, you know what, babe? I got it. I captured the handle, the Lipstick Lesbians. We're lesbians, we sell lipstick.
Part of coming out is about exposing your rawness and being open to being vulnerable, but being open to the biggest fear you have. While we're fighting to be a couple, we learned resiliency, we learned resourcefulness, we learned to never give up.
The thing that made us go viral was documenting, not creating. All of a sudden, not only are we literally bankrupt, right? But we are at this point where we don't even know we could pay our mortgage. Month 6, we decide that we're gonna move back home with my parents.
Oh my God.
There was no one we could call for advice, or we didn't even know, we knew nothing about this industry. We didn't know how to monetize this business. We didn't understand it was a business.
It's one of failure, but 2, it's one of like, I'm proud enough to say, look, I need help. And I'm going to go and ask for it.
The Lipstick Lesbians, we want to heal the world with beauty. The burnout can be very real because this doesn't stop. This is a 24/7, 365 business.
Welcome back to On The Record. I'm your host, Julian Reyes, and I am so excited to virtually have this podcast with my very, very dear friends, Alexis and Christina. Welcome to the pod, girls.
Thank you. We're so excited to chat.
So excited. Lots to talk about, obviously. The 3 of us have become fast friends. I'm so proud of our where our friendship has come from in such a short period of time. I'm so excited, first of all, to have you on the pod to tell your story. I think, you've done quite a few podcasts and talk openly, but I think your story is so, so special and so authentic. And I would love to start there. One, introducing yourselves and hearing about how you two first met.
Aw,
I love this.
Well, we met in 2014 on a little app called Tinder, which back then they tell us that it wasn't like it is now. I mean, we wouldn't know because we're very monogamous, but
we've heard.
Yes.
It was the good Tinder.
The good Tinder.
Yeah, the good Tinder. The only mutual interest we had was the island of Crete, which is an island in Greece that we're both from. And that was like this instant connection. And then when we met, it honestly felt like home for me. It was all of these things culturally that just were mutually understood, and I never really experienced that with someone, and all of these unknowings, as just sharing that same cultural heritage and that background. And on that first date as well, she was also talking to me about lipstick, right?
Arguing.
Yes, it actually started with an argument, our first date, about lipstick, which is so ironic that we're now the Lipstick Lesbians. And,
I was also not wearing lipstick
because
it was my first date with a woman, and I thought that at that time, the identity and how to identify as a lesbian meant that I had to reclaim these, we'll call them like maybe more like traditional lesbian stereotypical aesthetics, which was, for whatever reason in my mind, I was like, we're not going to wear lipstick, but we're going to go full throttle eyeshadow.
Do you have a photo of you that night?
I wish we had a picture. I think I was.
Can we reenact that makeup look?
Yes,
I can do that.
That's a great idea.
I think that's a great idea.
I love that. As well, she started talking to me about like wanting to launch a beauty brand one day. Like this was always a dream that like Alexis had, to do something more in the beauty industry. And she gave me this wild concept. I don't know if you want to talk about the concept, but anyway, I basically challenged her. I was like, I think you could do better. And she's like, oh, wow.
Very metaphorical how the rest of the next 10 years would go.
Yeah.
Christina challenging me and me saying, oh, maybe you're right, and me taking a little while to agree, but eventually agreeing.
You guys definitely are the yin to each other's yang, both of you.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I didn't expect, no one ever challenged me like that before. And anyway, long story short, we saw the Women's March happening like 2017, 18. And it really, was the catalyst behind what we did launch as this little small lipstick company called Fempower Beauty. I mean, to us, it wasn't small because it was a huge investment, because it's so expensive to have a beauty brand. But it was the beginning of all of our learnings of like what it takes to be an indie founder, which is the hardest thing like ever to have.
Just to be a founder.
Just to be a founder, right? But for us, identifying as these indie beauty founders, and we really threw everything at it. Money, time, energy, and we did this for 5 years.
Love.
And in the first 6 months of launching Fempower Beauty, we had extreme success, and we launched in January 2019, and within 6 months, we were on Good Morning America, month 6, organically, getting a $5,000 check from Sophia Maruso and Robin Roberts on live television. And we're just like, what is life right now? It was incredible. And we had all of this stuff planned out with popping up at female conferences, because that's where we saw the most traction with the empowerment lens and speaking at these conferences that could have really blown up our business. But we all know what happened in March 2020, and everything just stopped for us. We had these amazing lipsticks that were made in Italy with amazing suppliers that Alexis knows and loves. We made these fantastic marketing, in my opinion, but I think was a little bit too deep for the average consumer.
A little ahead of its time.
We would do a lot differently, in other words. And with these non-transfer proof lipsticks with masks, it was a real struggle to sell lipsticks.
You could not have picked a worse time, really.
No, but what did start to happen over COVID was TikTok. So we saw TikTok really boomed for a lot of people. Now, we weren't creating content over COVID, but we were experimenting here and there. Like, I would randomly post videos here and there on TikTok just to see like what the state of the, social media platform was. Because I have a PhD in education technology, so I'm constantly researching. And TikTok is an educational platform really at its core. It's digital education just in a very different way, if you choose it to be. And I remember one day coming home and I'm like, you know what, babe? I got it. I captured the handle, the Lipstick Lesbians. We're lesbians, we sell lipstick.
Oh my God.
I was stunned. I was like, what are we going to do with that? Like, no idea. And like, this is when unbeknownst to me, Christina started training me as if I was like getting ready for like the military.
Oh my God.
By putting the camera in front of my face, just like this.
Oh my God.
Hey, baby. And she started asking questions, but they weren't about makeup.
Yes, they weren't about makeup. So the idea behind the handle for me, which I was really brilliant, I understand, was to show the behind the scenes of our lives as founders of this company. Because to me, I thought the Lipstick Lesbians was going to be, we need to be public facing as founders building this indie beauty brand, and we can bring that conversation to the public with TikTok, right? But the problem is that we didn't have any money to pour into FemPower anymore. And
no marketing.
We couldn't really show us doing anything other than like the really boring admin stuff. So it wasn't entertaining. I didn't understand how to put it on the internet. And I also thought that the Lipstick Lesbians, although it was a great name, I felt really proud of it. I thought it had to be about being lesbians because the word lesbians is in the name. So I would be picking up my phone, trying to train Alexis, and it was about like, hey, baby, what's your favorite thing about being a lesbian? So
oh my God.
Going like,
I wish I could have been a fly on the wall. I mean,
we haven't deleted any of those old
videos. I'm going to go through it. I mean, to have the camera in front of your face and saying "go," it's go time.
Yes,
I mean, it's it's that honest raw power that you guys bring to the camera every single time. I've watched every single one of your videos, and one of the things which I love is at the darkest hour, you guys went hardcore into it and started producing content. And I have to ask the question, personally, I hate being in front of the camera. I'm trying my best to get in front of the camera and coming up with ideas and what type of content to produce. Let's imagine we're talking to someone who's trying to break into this industry, because we'll go into obviously some of the things that you guys are doing right now, but what are the things that you would tell, like, I guess your younger self or a creator who's coming into the market, who's, doesn't know where they're going, but really loves beauty?
Yeah, I think authenticity, because without knowing it throughout that time period of just picking up my phone and recording Alexis, we're really just completely being ourselves. And the thing that made us go viral was documenting, not creating, and just being completely authentic with the level of knowledge and expertise that Alexis brought to the table, which really captivated people and still captivates everyone today. As well as, I think it's multifaceted. It's also our relationship. So it brings there's a lot of entry points for us. But really the core of it is the beauty and the authenticity, I think.
For creators that maybe don't have, say, in my case, it was like at that point, 15 years plus of experience, pick the thing the best, the most. Is it eyeshadow? I don't care if it's the new lip stain you just bought or the new, again, whatever arena you feel the most comfortable in, because you can't walk into a situation where you're doing 9 things at the same time that you've never done before. Having the camera in front of your face is one thing. That's new. It's jarring. It may feel weird, but like everything, I don't even notice the camera anymore. It makes no difference if I'm being filmed or not. We were actually on set with Natasha Denona a couple days ago and her team, and they literally were just stunned. They're like, we couldn't tell when the camera was rolling or not. There was no difference. And we're like, that's the secret.
That is a
The
secret.
secret is because this can be the most mentally draining and taxing job, essentially. Being a content creator full time, I've probably had like countless conversations around burnout. And, everyone has a different word for it, but that's really what it is. Whether you're the face or you're the producer or you're the director or the editor, the burnout can be very real because this doesn't stop. This is a 24/7, 365, business.
Yeah. Become an expert and always learn.
I love that.
If you're bringing that arena that you're an expert in, even if it's one thing in the beginning, it's a lot easier to digest the notion of talking about it
100%.
while the camera's rolling.
My father always told me, he's like, get that one, course or career that you can always fall back on. And, you can always lean into it. So if it all goes pear-shaped, you can always go and work in a restaurant. I was like, thanks, Dad. but
that was being like a makeup artist.
I mean, I think it's really exciting that, Alexis, you've got a very strong background in product education, beauty. Take us back to your career and walk us through that, everything that has brought you to here today with all the different companies you've worked with.
I call that BC, before Christina.
And after Christina?
And after Christina. At the time, actually, as soon as that year that I met Christina, I had done my first year as a product developer. So truly, like before Christina, I spent almost 8 years as a retail makeup artist, traveling regional artist, whatever words you want. I worked for NARS Cosmetics. I was lucky enough to work at a time in retail and NARS's ascent. So I got to work in their first ever boutique on Bleecker Street in New York City in the Village. Like I got to work in, Henry Bendel when Henry Bendel existed. I got to work in Bergdorf Goodman. I got to work in these different stores. And I used to have this running joke where if you blindfolded me and put me just in a physical space, I could tell you where I was. Lord Taylor, Saks. I was this like retail.
By what? By the surroundings?
Savant, by the customer.
Wow.
Because every Sephora, Bendel's, Barney's, all these people were so different. New Jersey, New York, right? I was in the metro area. So, I started to understand makeup from a distribution, customer relationship. Not that I knew at the time, but if you can understand your customer that deeply, it unlocks a lot. And that experience that I got on the sales floor is arguably the most important piece or biggest piece of me being able to just react as quickly as I do on camera today.
And I would also say the biggest piece that makes you a really good product developer, right? Because you're always thinking about the customer when you're developing products.
Their pain points. And that started with me standing and developing all kinds of back problems and working those crazy hours and understanding though that if you were able to capture their pain points into the form of a product, or even just take it to the next level. And that was my goal, break into product development. I went to FIT. I did the cosmetics fragrance marketing program. I offered to intern for free at NARS. I would have done anything to get a job working corporately in product development for NARS. But I was lucky that that did not happen for me. What did happen for me was that I ended up in my first corporate job through a networking, through someone I met at FIT. They gave me a job and a chance at a manufacturer. And what that means is that I got to watch all the beauty products get made. And that became the baseline of my knowledge as a product developer, and that not every product developer gets. And that understanding, you also have exposure to a lab setting, which not every product developer gets if they're on the brand side. Finally, I say I did the tasting menu, and the short story of this is, after this experience at the manufacturer, I kind of really rounded out the rest of the breadth of experience you can have as a product developer, working for a licensing company for brands that sold at Walmart, brands that sold at Target, brands that sold in Sally's, so more of the what we would call mass market or even some masstige. Then I found myself at a very luxury, high-end, pedigreed company like a Shiseido, Legacy Beauty, who did things and sold things in 88 countries. So there's the global perspective. I was in Japan teaching the Japanese how you had to evaluate product on dark skin because they had never made powder for skin that dark before.
That's correct.
And it's incredible. And I can dart, each video has a little crumb of these, this over a decade of experience.
Yes, you pull from your library of experiences.
I mean, when we first met at our offices, I mean, I think the things that blew me away was that you had such high level of detail about the product, the feel, the texture, the way it felt on the skin, how you complained about this product. And you weren't scared to give your honest opinion, like, I really don't like this product when you can buy this product for half the price and it's, 20% better. And I was like, whoa. And also the ability, and I think today, the education gap, which I think is something that you guys truly saw before others to unlock. Because there has been a huge amount of, I would say, a wall between the consumer and the manufacturer and the brand in terms of cost, margins, distribution, packaging. And we've all been taught that a $50, a moisturizer or a $25 lipstick that's what you should be paying for. But in actual fact, there's a lot more behind it. And I'm always excited to hear what you guys have to say when you go down the Sephora or the Ulta aisle and pick it up and saying, and you talk amongst yourselves. I would love to hear from you on the topic of education and understanding product development, where you think there's the gap in the market for, and I hate to use the word creator in this because I think everyone deserves to know. So I'd love to hear about what you think that opportunity in education is.
Yeah, it's funny. Christina identified the gap before I did.
Yeah.
And that was the conversation she had with me for 5 years when she was trying to convince me to make content. Yeah. And she identified it. You can share the little bit about what you said to me about hashtag product development.
Yeah, I don't even remember if it was before or after I captured the handle Lipstick Lesbians, but I remember, as someone who's not a beauty girly, I can't say that anymore, but who was not a beauty girly, I never knew what beauty product development meant. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Like, does it mean that you're like literally in the lab? Mm-hmm. Like, how does the beauty industry work? Like, I learned and I went to some of the trade shows when I was a teacher and I understood how the beauty industry worked from there. And so to me, I was like, well, is there anywhere I can go on the internet to learn about beauty product development if I wasn't Alexis's partner? Right. And so I went hashtag beauty product development or beauty product development. I would search these things on TikTok and Instagram and YouTube, and there was very little. I think there was only AJ Miller, I think. KJ Miller. KJ Miller from Cosmetics is true. And she was the only one talking about beauty product development. And she was a founder. And that might have been the thing that inspired me to create the Lipstick Lesbians, actually. It's very possible. But I remember there was like no traction on beauty product development. So I said, Alexis, you should definitely educate on beauty product development. And what did you say back to me?
And I said to her that it was the very fact that I was under so many different NDAs at the time I was consulting. You weren't allowed to talk about the formulas you were working on because they were proprietary. They were protecting the integrity of the brand that you were working on them for. And the very fact that the brand didn't own the formula.
Right.
Or the factory that it was made in, or in some cases, didn't own anything about it. So just the marketing of it, right? And the distribution of it. So for me, I didn't even consciously make a connection the first time we made our first accidental viral video of, I could just evaluate a product that's already on the market, like Makeup by Mario's new foundation, Surreal Skin.
Yes.
Right. Instead, I was so siloed in my bubble working as a product developer. And we always joke around as product developers that we're talking to ourselves, because is the consumer really going to notice this very 0.5 different % in opacity from this shade to this shade? And the level of detail, you're a nuanced detective as a product developer.
Absolutely.
And as a consumer who now knows many product developers because of the work we do now, product development is so nuanced and it's such a detailed craft. And there's different types of product developers. Like they're not all the same, right? There's product developers who are more chemistry focused. There are product developers who are more artistry focused. And then there's just product developers who, are, I mean, I don't know. I don't want to categorize it this way because I'm a little,
they're more project
managers.
They do shade development and batch approvals, right?
Right. So it depends. And what I think is really interesting, going back to Alexis's library of experiences, is that she's held kind of all of these different product development roles. And then it can change depending on if you are in a manufacturer or if you're at a brand, right? Or if you're a consultant, and you've done all three of those things. So it's really interesting how we could inform product development.
Right. So for us, we could touch the whole product development life cycle, and we can touch it from the lens of the manufacturer, the founder, the distributor, the licensor, and Christina's layering in her educational technology umbrella, which is the art of question asking.
Yes.
And that's the lens through which we operate.
Right. Because at the core of our viral content really is just, it starts with a great question always.
Always. I think the amount of knowledge you have between the two of you is insane. And that, it's really almost like, how do you go to bed at night? Because it must be swirling in those two heads.
We play an Australian man, actually, Julian.
Yes, we do.
I was thinking you would do really well in that field.
I would. You know how much I love the both of you. So we will always be working together. But I think what's so exciting is that you guys have such a platform now to be the voice and sharing this information and categorizing it, for lack of a better word, dumbifying it down so that, people can understand it. And I think what you've done, and I've tried to create products myself at Skin Laundry when I started the business, and I had no idea what I was doing. So I know exactly, if I walk into a room, I was definitely the dumbest person in the room, but I would take whatever they gave me. But I think what I'm excited for you to be able to help, and where you carve out your niche or space in the beauty market is education. And I think it's not only the education around products, it's really the story of the two of you building from scratch and persevering. And I would love to ask you both, because it's not been one, from bottom left to top right. It's been a challenge, and I think that when I sat next to you at dinner, Alexis, and I remember you telling me the story, and I was like, this is someone has seen the good times and the bad times. So walk me through some of the things that you've done to get to where you are, because you have each other, and I think that's something really special. Having a life partner that can help you, get up from when things are tough. But maybe walk us through some of the things that have kept you strong.
Yeah, I always reflect specifically on a time of my life that, of course, we talked a little bit about our first date, right? So that's 2014 for context. Before that, and this is interesting, right? Identifying for me that I was attracted to women when I was a makeup artist at the time, touching women's faces, daily. I'd meet over the course of a year, I would touch thousands of faces, women primarily, predominantly. And having to go through a personal development kind of experience where you understand yourself to the capacity of, oh, I might be attracted to another gender. This creates a level of honesty and vulnerability within yourself that is so raw and so challenging. And it's almost remiss to not mention that part of coming out is about exposing your rawness and being open to being vulnerable, but being open to the biggest fear you have. So when you conquer that one fear, of course you're going to it primes you to have the guts to go after your biggest dreams, because what we say all the time, and we were talking about this last night before bed, we had to fight to exist as a couple, period. And well, in order to want to fight to be a couple and to be in a relationship, that's going to create a hell of a lot of resiliency. So while we're fighting to be a couple, we learned resiliency, we learned resourcefulness, we learned to never give up.
Yeah.
And that we had to then directly translate into being founders. So we understood fundamentally that our very existence as two women, and we had investors tell us that you shouldn't tell people you're married.
Yes.
You shouldn't tell people you're together.
You shouldn't tell people we're gay. Yes.
You shouldn't tell people you're gay. We've heard it all. And then we've heard people tell us when we first popped off and had some virality, you should change your handle.
Oh yeah, that was a big conversation actually.
Huge.
You know, maybe you should consider changing it to Alexis's name. Maybe you shouldn't be the Lipstick Lesbians.
Right.
Yes.
And I brought this up very specifically because this helped us understand really fundamentally, and for me personally, in my perspective, what it means to face your largest fears, what it means to be rejected pretty much consistently, your family, your friends, just everyone. So once you've really overcome that, suddenly the belief in yourself is stronger. Yes, you're still afraid. Yes, you're still apprehensive, but ultimately you have nothing to lose because you've already been through the rings of fire. You're just going through the next ring and the next ring after that. And I think somewhere along this journey, specifically Christina and I, and the time where FemPower Beauty, we understood it was bleeding us dry financially.
Yeah.
We had just been married. So now I'm going to take you from 2014 to 2022.
Yeah.
We had our wedding in Greece. In fact, both of our fathers told us not to do it, not to get married on the island they were born in, which we felt extremely connected to.
Yep. And we have in the back of our rings, of our engagement rings.
And we defied them and we said, you know what? It's our island too.
Absolutely.
So we're going to get married there. And
Absolutely.
if you don't want to come, that's on you. And that's
You're
like
lost,
another.
But they did come. Spoiler alert.
They did come. Oh my God.
And we did.
Yeah, they did.
I wish I could have been there. I just got back from. I was in Antiparos last week.
Oh,
wow!
The people in Greece are the nicest people in the world.
Yeah,
they are.
We love
culture.
Greece.
It's a beautiful culture.
It's
and
friendly and so
friendly.
Yeah.
And they love pleasure. They love the food. They love dance. They love celebration. And that's what it was. That's what we wanted. We wanted to honor their culture and our experiences.
Yeah.
Ultimately,
how are the relationships? Sorry to interrupt. How are the relationships with your fathers now?
Oh my God.
They must be so proud.
That what's really interesting actually is, so we didn't, I want to answer this question. It's going to seem unrelated, but it's totally related. We put so much money into FemPower Beauty that we were almost bankrupt, you know? So
this is the bleeding us dry part.
Let us dry. And, you know, we started to go viral, and Alexis, she had a health crisis. She lost her hearing in
6 months.
She lost half her hearing
after the wedding.
Right.
Oh
so she lost her hearing in one ear. And then she lost her key client that she let go of all of her other clients because
I was supposed to be going into a full-time position. This is what we talk about, resiliency and the rings of fire.
Right.
This is what
this is the resiliency. And we're going viral, right? And I accepted a new job at this point. And then 2 months into our virality, I get let go. So all of a sudden, not only are we literally bankrupt, right? But we are at this point where we don't even know we could pay our mortgage, right? In this apartment that we got in 2017. So we're like, okay, we have enough for a 4 to 6 month runway. Let's give it a shot.
To pay the minimum payment on the credit card.
Right.
Not to actually move a needle.
Exactly. And our families knew what was going on, that we were both unemployed, making zero money. And they're watching this happen, right? So month 6, we decide that we're going to move back home with my parents.
Oh my God. So I don't think I knew this.
So that we could really give this a fair shot, because we kept on seeing traction on these social media platforms. So we're like, okay, something's happening here. We may not be monetizing yet. And it's so funny because the minute we moved back to my parents' home, it's we just started,
triggers.
Well, it was triggers, but it was also we started to get partnerships for the first time ever, which by the way, we also said it doesn't matter. We're not going to sacrifice anything. It also gave us the ability and the luxury to say no to so many partnerships that didn't align, the products that we didn't want to talk about. So it was this great blessing, even though we were around a lot of triggers. But in a strange way, to bring it back to our fathers, my father specifically during that time, because he was always home, and my mom's retired, but she's crazy. So she's working for a private school now. It's insane. She's a teacher.
Can you tell where the work ethic comes from?
Yeah, exactly. So but my dad got to see this ascent, right? My dad was home all the time. He's he's a fixer-upper. So he's
God.
fixing.
Was he refreshing your Instagram handle? I bet he was.
Well, he was aware of what it was. He had to be.
He was just watching like Uber Blacks come pick us up.
Oh
every
my
day.
God. I love it.
One
You
time,
know you made it when you're taking an Uber Black.
Yeah, like that's the truth.
And then, like, you know, at one time, L'Oreal came with like an ice sculpture and this handsome man with like a golden hammer, and he's like watching this. He's like, "What the hell is going on?"
He must be so proud. Can you tell me? I mean, I'm just curious. Like, how many followers did you have at that time? Do you remember?
Man, I mean, in the beginning with TikTok, we grew really, really quickly.
100,000.
It was like 200, 300,000. I think by the time we moved my parents, it was a 400,000.
Right.
And they were the one, we were there from
400,000 June.
400,000 to what?
Maybe
1
100,000
million.
on Instagram.
Yeah. That's insane.
Yeah, not even 100,000 on Instagram.
They were part of like us growing, I would say, to the 500,000 that we're very close to on Instagram, and then to the 1.1 we're
That's
at.
insane.
We were not even halfway there, really.
Yeah. So I think, you know, having front rows to this success that they started to see, they're like, all of a sudden we're not making any money to like some of the...
He was worried. He gave me like this look in March, and he's like, "Are you going to take care of her?" And I said,
I got this. I love that. I love that.
So then like it became like my mom is like on the couch and he's like lying down on the couch right across from her, and she's like playing like this game on her phone, and all of a sudden an ad of Alexis comes up. She's like, "Look,
oh my God."
Like showing my father, and
like,
my father's
they filmed this upstairs.
Oh my God. Oh, your parents are so funny. They must be so proud.
They're really proud. And then your parents too, and they talk about this all the time now.
Yeah, I think it's the both our fathers have like a bit of the immigrant story. My father was an entrepreneur. So I learned the bagel business when I was 13. I used to work at his shop. So his pride, I think, comes from the place of just building something from nothing.
Yeah.
You know, and the truth is our parents were both illegal immigrants in the USA too. Like they came to this country with nothing, just like literally $1 and a dream, you know?
It's amazing.
That was us in that moment. Like, and there was no one that was helping us. There was no one we could call for advice, or we didn't even know, we knew nothing about this industry. We didn't know how to monetize this business. We didn't understand it was a business.
No, we had to learn a lot about social media.
I mean, you guys really fought to survive. I mean, that's the best way. It's the human basic instinct to survive, which is what you guys did. I think it was remarkable that you made that difficult decision to move back in with your parents, because that's a very, very hard decision. I mean, you say it lightly, but I don't think either one of you would have taken. It was a very tough, because it's one of failure, but two, it's one of like, I'm proud enough to say, look, I need help, and I'm going to go and ask for it, and I'm going to do it. And I came out the other side of the tunnel. So, you know, bravo to you both.
Thank you. And now we're proud to say that we recently bought a home. We are now in this home. We did not choose this wall color.
For us, but we are going to paint it very soon.
So we're in the next phase of the Lipstick Lesbians building.
Yeah, we're doing a fixer-upper show.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to be evaluating vacuums and mattresses.
Exactly. We'll do the Dyson Lesbians.
Sharp.
Exactly. I wanted to ask you about the partnerships, because I think that's really interesting, because to be able to discern what partnerships you take and not take at such an early stage, which must be extremely tempting. What were the ones, do you remember the first ones you did?
We had like a usage deal with Saltaire, actually. It was so
ironic.
ironic.
That was really early,
The irony was that I was standing in Sephora talking about a brand that wasn't sold in Sephora, but the brand Saltaire, whatever, they were intrigued, and they reached out, and it's all about relevancy. And the truth is, the industry, it moves so fast, but brands, you have to understand, right? They allocate their budgets, and this is for anyone that's listening that wants to understand this. They allocate their budgets. They've built out their influencer lists. It's going to take months, minimum months to years, to be able to get on their radar in a way that's relevant, because it's fiercely competitive. But I think because we broke out, no one knew what to make of us because our content was so different.
Right.
And I was talking about raw materials and ingredients. So the lens through which we decided in the beginning, and Christina flat out was like, so do you think like a brand's going to reach out for like consulting? Because this was how we were thinking.
I didn't expect it to become a platform that brands would want to hire us to make videos for them as like paid ads or partnerships. I thought it would become more of, we want to hire you to consult.
Which is what I knew how to do. And
right.
I had a consulting business previously.
Right. Which, funny enough, now both are happening.
I know.
So It's a hybrid, and it's so multifaceted. And, you know, in many ways, and we speak to a lot of great strategic social media minds about this, but the consensus is like, you guys are so unique. You know, it's kind of like you've carved your own path. There's not really a lot of benchmarks against you. And in a lot of ways, in the beginning, the biggest challenge was we want to work with you. We just don't know what to do with you. Mm-hmm. So imagine
that's the best. To be honest, that's the best.
In retrospect, it's the best. But when you're in a place where like you don't have any money, you're creating content, you're the happiest you've ever been, but you're dead broke. But brands are like, you have like, you know, a big brand coming to you that wants to work with you. We're like, well, we know we want to work with you, but we need to figure it out. And we're just like,
the amount of times I sit down, whether it's a beauty brand, a fashion brand, the old way or version probably 3.0, because it's changed so much over the years, is they naturally go after the influencers or the creators with the largest following, and they're saying, okay, I think their audience is A, B, and C, girl or guy, and then they'll go and spend inordinate amounts of money to work with them, and then there's zero follow through, and I think the model has changed, and I think you guys have obviously identified that, you know, these algorithms are now working very differently than they were before, and that your audiences are on different platforms now and they're looking for different things. And it's really centered around interest, not around, hey, I just want to buy the new XYZ, you know, moisturizer. So, and I think there's a lot to be said about the education side. That still is probably the fastest growing segment in beauty. People are talking about, and you know, I love when I sit next to you guys at dinner because we talk a lot about it. Is like people talk about peptides, people talk about, you know, the ingredients that go in, and that's what resonates with the new consumer.
That's exactly right. Right. When you've reached peak saturation like this, and I don't even think we're at peak, we're at the beginning of saturation. There's no other way to differentiate. Marketing can only take you so far at this point. And this selection process as a baseline for us as to whether or not we're even going to think or consider about a partnership with a brand. Who is the brand, or what's their ethos? And then are we reading a script, or do we have full creative control and education? We call it, you know, do we have the full education consulting, you know, capacity? Because if I can't teach you something in that piece of content,
it's
and game over.
It's funny because sometimes our partnership videos to brands end up being like, this is just an open consulting video because we're actually teaching the brand something that they didn't consider, and we see shifts in how they even approach. It's very interesting to be on this side.
How many times have you entered into a partnership or started speaking to someone and you're like, you know what, I don't think we can work with this type of product? How many times does that happen?
Well, we never enter the partnership unless we try the product.
Yeah.
So we never, you know, like we never accept something before we try it, you know? So, but we have said no to many that are just like,
they're not aligned. They're very rigorous, and they want us to do a paid ad that is a paid ad that every other content creator is doing.
Right. Or like it's a product that's just not good.
Right.
You know, like there was this one brand, remember, they kept on coming back.
Well,
we're just like, no. Not a good product.
There was a product that had ingredients that we didn't agree with. It's a product that maybe has a stability issue, meaning it has legitimate. There's many times where brands, you know, are facing the uptick of some backlash because, you know,
that happens too. Yeah. It's like
suddenly they're calling you and they want to pay you to talk and say something. And you're like, well, no, but I am going to share with the world what happened, and I'm going to do it in the most politically correct way and respect you. But this product should have never went to market.
Yeah. There has been one time where there was someone that want to partner with us to talk about something to like fix this issue. And we had to say no to that deal and then publicly talk about why this product was a manufacturing defect.
Wow.
Organically. Yeah.
And it's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And you have personal relationships once now we've been in the industry, this influencer space, right? Plus the industry, but we now have personal relationships, and so many people will just be like, oh, you're on this XYZ founder's payroll, and you're PR, who's paying you? And we're just like,
if you don't know that we had to make that video and say no to that.
How painful it could be to have a personal relationship, and it doesn't matter because it's about the consumer, just like it was 20 years ago when I was on the sales floor.
It's always about the consumer. That's where it begins and where it ends. Like if you're not thinking about the consumer, about the fan, and why you're doing this, you're not doing it being authentic, because you're certainly not doing it for the brand anymore. It's really for the
always
consumer,
about the community.
the community. Absolutely. So watching you guys grow as a couple, as a business, as a media company, your days get very, very tight. As we know, from beginning to end, you wake up early. Waking up, do you have a routine that you guys do? Like, walk us through a typical day.
No day.
We don't have a typical day.
Who gets up first in the morning?
Alexis. I'm more of a night owl, though. You know, like I do my creative thinking at night versus Alexis, I think, is a morning person.
We talk a lot about the energies that we have to be in to create our art. Specifically filming days. So historically, and this is the key to success with any type of business, if you learn your workflow and you learn where you work best at what task. So taking meetings, doing any eventing or business meetings that are just like networking, like it's great. Those are wonderful, but those will be in the evening when we have like more relaxed energy. Whereas the morning has to be for a creative flow. Like we can't start filming at 10 and then, just at noon, we're going to log off and bang out 3 Zoom calls for an hour and a half and then come back to filming. That will never happen. Like, short answer, block out 2 days, 3, 4 days a week for filming. And you're not just filming for 2 hours, maybe filming for 6, sometimes 8.
Yeah. I mean, Alexis is a machine. And
that's
I get tired watching her.
Gets tired and like, I'm fed by that because it's an active filming, and you have to learn that you can't just rock up and turn the camera and lights on. You need to prep, and the prep of what you're going to film, that's a day at least per week.
And when you're filming and on camera, Alexis, do you, like, what's going through your head? Do you have these things that you say to yourself, like, act normal, be normal? Do you have these?
It's so funny. More recently, I had someone challenge me to channel all of my emotion, whether it's pain or pleasure, right, into the art. And I really struggled with understanding this. And this is my latest challenge. So previously, I'd go into my flow state, and my flow state is really kind of just hyper. It's almost like I get my spidey senses, and every single sensation on my skin is I'm hyper aware, and I'm really excited to share with you exactly what I'm experiencing, because in my head, I pretend like you can't see or really fully see or really touch the product, because you can't, because we're working on the screen. So I bring it to life for you as best as I can. So this is the challenge. That's what I think about. I sit down. Usually there's a bit of a ritual in taking some deep breaths. All the products that we want to shoot are right there, ready to go. Wipes, right? Like everything you need to be successful. The last thing you want to do is get up 10 times. Don't interrupt the flow.
Make it as easy as possible.
Make it as easy as possible. And then now, more recently, and like we're going into now 2.5 years plus, it's almost going toward that year 3 mark. You have to be in love with this. You have to be in love with filming to continue to show up. And the connection of the love is making sure that when you sit down, and like I also need Christina to be there, which is hilarious.
So what happens when Christina's not there?
She has to produce. She has to be there.
She's producing it.
You do need a producer.
And it usually should be my wife. Or this new challenge about connecting more emotion that's stirring inside me. Don't let that emotion take me away and distract me and make me not want to film. Channel it into the art so that people understand they're not alone in what they're feeling either.
100%.
Is it pain? Is it a rough day? Is it a release because the color is going on my eye and it's making me forget about something that happened today that wasn't so great, etc.
I don't think I've ever heard anyone explain it like that. And I think that's so special, being in front of the camera and knowing that you're giving someone else some valuable information that they're taking in, especially when it's education. It's super hard. It's really amazing. Now that you're building this business and, you guys are inundated now, I would imagine, with brand deals and people coming to offer you strategic relationships and sitting around the board table and talking about, because you've got a very strong point of view. What excites you right now coming into year 3? Let's look at the next 3 years. What's in it for the Lipstick Lesbians?
Yeah, well, the first thing that's in it for the Lipstick Lesbians is letting go of some old energy. And unfortunately, some of that old energy is Fempower Beauty. So we are letting go of Fempower Beauty. We have to let go to give room for new things that we want to build. And it's not because we don't feel like Fempower Beauty could be successful. It's more because we're very grateful that it got us here, but it was of a different era of who we were. We're just different people than we were than when we had Fempower Beauty. So we still have lipsticks. They are 50% off till the end of the summer, for anyone who wants to purchase Fempower Beauty.
We're going to promote that, don't worry.
So that's number one, right, in this next phase of who we are. And the other thing is the number one request that happened in the comment section when we first started going viral really, really early on was a course. People really, really, really wanted some type of educational course that they can go to learn more, because the videos can give you so much information, but if you want to dive deeper, how can you do that? So actually, kind of, I would say from month 2 or 3,
we started thinking about this.
During that 6-month window, even when we were dead broke, we were thinking about this content creator course, and how can we help creators, how can we help people understand beauty products more deeply, through the lens of beauty product development, of course. So that's exactly what we did. Yep. And we called it Let's Learn About Beauty, otherwise known as LLab. It's letslearnaboutbeauty.com. And we built this amazing curriculum that we worked on together, right? Basically, we didn't look anywhere else on the internet to develop this. This is from our brains down on paper. Well, really digital paper. And we hired a cosmetic chemist and one of our really good friends who still works in the industry right now as an independent cosmetic chemist, who's fabulous, Julio Pina. And we really, you should talk about the formats and what you did, because it was incredible. Talk about filming for 8 hours.
Oh my God. Yeah. I think it's really important that to dovetail into the fact that this is for anyone that wants to work in the beauty industry. And now it includes if you want to work in the beauty industry as a content creator.
Yep.
We want to elevate. We always say the Lipstick Lesbians, we want to heal the world with beauty.
Yep.
What does that mean? It means that we have to be at the forefront of the future of beauty. We're either creating it or participating in it, like our partnership and what we're about to do come the fall. I'm like, Julian, tell us how much we're allowed to share. We're really excited.
I'm bursting with joy because I know everything we're about to do together as partners, and I'm so excited, and I do believe in fate that these things happen for a reason, and I think with the education is step one. Just to touch back on letting go. I think letting go is really underrated. You have to be able to let go to move forward, and I think what you guys have discussed and just shared with us is important, because I think once you talk about it, people will understand what you're doing next. And I think you guys are going to do like amazing things, because from someone who has traveled the world, and I've lived in many different countries and watched different beauty industries change, and the closest that I've seen to this is in China. And I think what I saw in you the first time I met you at Beauty Connect, where I accosted you, a rugby tackle.
Beauty Connect too, which was like wild.
It was funny. I mean, I remember like rugby tackling the two of you, and you like, who is this strange man coming over and asking me where I'm going this weekend? And I was like, and I do believe, it's all about building relationships. Relationships are the number one thing. And, I treasure a very, very loyal person. And I think that if you can, build these strong relationships with people. And what I saw in you guys is something that I hadn't seen in a long, long time. And that is that you guys had the evidence of understanding products and where the industry was going outside of like these big industry people who have millions of people working there. And I think when I look at what's been successful in Asia, it's really the people that understand behind the scenes of what's going on in product. If you don't have authenticity and can't be an authority in these products, you can fake it till you make it for some time. But at the end of the day, the consumer wants the God's honest truth about what's happening. And I think we have this incredible opportunity to, allow the industry and allow creators and the consumer to really understand what's going on in this market. And, we won't let the cat out of the bag just as yet, but very excited about the future here. So I have one more question for the two of you, which I'm very excited to hear about is, the two of you are building a business. And at the same time, it's very important you have building your relationship because you guys are married and you're doing wonderful things. How do you guys, do you break up the day and say we need to take time off and we need to do certain things that fulfill ourselves spiritually? Because I do think you both are, think about things outside of the beauty industry as well. So, walk us through maybe, things that inspire you to stay in this game.
Yeah.
I would say we're both very spiritual, I would say. Definitely mindfulness and practicing that. And now being in our home, having like a sanctuary outside, at least for me, even connecting with the energy of animals. Nature. If you follow the stories, I'm like baby deer and doves. And I'm like, oh my God, there's a nest.
Yeah, I think we were joking around recently about finding like gurus or finding North Stars. Who do you want to model yourself around in your career, in your personal development journey? From the first moment I met Christina, she challenged me, and that still holds true today. And we are a little different in that we like to be challenged, and sure, we turn off, but turning off for us looks like having a really deep intellectual conversation, sitting outside, drinking, a certain, Italian wine that's our favorite from a region that we visited together and did a wine tasting there. And so the short answer is we do an annual like spiritual reset. We're really committed to, because maybe we're not doing as much as we want to be doing throughout the year, but we will dedicate an annual retreat to growing spiritually and really pushing through fear and making sure we can keep evolving. And that's the short version of that annual trip. And the longer version is just the finding the micro moments of joy where we'll do staycations. We'll, on any given work trip, we'll try, no matter what, if we're in Italy, if we're in Paris, if we're in LA, we'll go to Palm Springs for the weekend. In Paris, we'll pop over to Nice if we can and see a new see a new city together. Whatever we can do to immerse ourselves in culture and again just nurture ourselves creatively. We call them artist dates, thanks to the
I love that.
The Artist Way. There's a book,
Artist Dates. Yeah.
So the answer is we go on as many artist dates as we can, and sometimes I get to pick, and Christina has picked our next big trip, which she wants to go on safari in Africa.
I mean, talk about connecting with animals.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Our next
that would be amazing
trip.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm just manifesting. I don't know if this is going to happen.
But we're going to try.
If that doesn't happen, we're going to Disney World and we're doing
not exactly the same,
which I also won't mind.
Yeah, well, we can go to Disneyland when you guys are over here in LA next.
Yes.
Maybe that's our dinner date that we're doing at the end of the month.
That's an easy one.
Yeah. No, I think doing those staycations, getting away, breaking it up, you guys, it's so important, and you can have fun. You have to enjoy yourselves. I know whenever we're together, we always have a glass of wine in our hand, so it's super fun.
Yeah. That's great.
No.
And it's about, right, I think we made a commitment to each other a long time ago that we were never going to stop evolving.
That's absolutely true. Yes.
As long as we keep that promise to each other, the rest falls into place, right? With communication, of course. But
yes.
Tell me about a partnership or a collaboration that you did that you felt was a full circle moment.
So she's laughing because this has been a pretty epic. This last 6 months has been probably the most insane of my life personally, because we've completed this circle of life of me getting to meet every single beauty icon that I worshipped. Starting from, and we've now sat down, shared a meal, shared like really deep, beautiful conversations about the industry.
And they weren't necessarily partnerships.
No.
They were just meetings, and it was really amazing.
They're all my beauty heroes. We got to sit down with Charlotte Tilbury. We got to sit down with Pat McGrath. We got to sit down with Bobby Brown. We got to sit down with Mr. Francois NARS. We haven't even released that footage yet.
Yes, we couldn't film the interaction, but we recorded it. So we'll be sharing more of that.
And the man is I worked, for his company it molded me as a makeup artist and a human, because of all his products had these destinations on them, and I would fantasize about going to Fiji and
That's
Barcelona. Right. And one day I did. Not Fiji yet, but through Love Island, I feel like I. And I don't want to miss anyone. 2 days ago, we got Natasha Denona did my makeup by Mario, the man that started. Like, the reason I wanted to go to Sephora to buy the foundation, he did my makeup a year ago. And like
Danessa Myricks.
There's so many. They're just icons of beauty. There's so many more founders that I can think of that I'm naming these in particular as makeup artists specifically, because that's how I
you're a
first
makeup
identified.
Artist. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I still am a makeup artist. And not to say that these other founders that we've built relationships with aren't incredible, but it's a different connection on an artistry level.
They were the ones you idolized,
They were my beauty heroes.
That's why it's such a big full circle moment. And now what's crazy is that they're friends. They're in our, we're text messaging with Charlotte Tilbury. What?
Isn't that crazy? I mean,
chat too. And they're, each of them, what this has taught both of us, because we get to leave from these experiences, and it feels like we've had a spiritual download after all of them, but we walk out of these experiences, and how lucky are we that we got to share that space? It's like we received a masterclass from all of them.
Yeah. And each taught us something.
And
it's
they
really
each taught us something, and I just hope we've taught them something, right? And I think we have in our collective just mission to heal the world.
But then you realize they're just normal people too.
Yes, that was the biggest. That was the biggest
lesson.
learning. The biggest learning is that they're human, and that you think that look, and they are special, right? But ultimately,
they are
human.
They see how we're special too, and that we can be someone like you see in us and what you've seen in us.
And sometimes, I mean, my old therapist used to call it the George Clooney effect. Like, George Clooney doesn't know he's George Clooney, right? But everyone's looking at George Clooney like, oh my God.
So you guys are the George Clooneys now.
Yeah, it's
One last question for you is, what is the rule, or not the rule, do you have a mantra, or do you have a saying that you live by?
Oh, we have a few.
Okay, let's hear them.
Very fun ones.
Oh my gosh.
We're closer than we've ever been before.
That's the one I always say. We're closer than we've ever been.
We're closer than we've ever been. They're really simple.
Every time I'm really particular and detail oriented, I go, this is why we win.
I love it. We need to trademark it and put it on a t-shirt.
I know. They're really, I think, Christina-isms.
Christina-isms. That's a book.
My isms are usually around wanting to spend, budget. Like, I have I'm not capable of staying within a budget.
Oh my God.
You need to crack that whip for Alexis. Give me the big bottle of champagne.
It's all about joy and pleasure.
Exactly. Life's too short to drink bad wine, right?
Alexis just has really good taste, and I think that comes through in even the beauty products that she recommends. She's really a prestige girly at heart.
She
she'll
is.
tell you when there's a drugstore formula that performs like a prestige and when it's worth it.
Yeah. Well, thank you, girls. It's been so nice to have you guys on the pod. First of all, love you guys, and I've got something for you. It's a record, so I'm going to give it to you when you guys get here. But it's called Almost Famous. I figured this is a bit of an oxymoron because you're already famous, but it's one of my favorite movies and albums.
Very relevant and metaphorical.
Thanks, guys. Really appreciate it.
So much,
Thank
Julian.
you so much.
Thank you.